So, hello to everyone listening to this podcast. This is more like a first experiment. Let's see how it goes out. My name is Juncal Gonzalez. I'm product designer in Doctoralia, and I'm here with Matt. Matt, maybe you can present yourself quickly.
Hi, I'm Matt Mikulski. I'm a product manager in Doctoralia.
Yeah, so basically, the story for recording this podcast is that a few months ago, maybe it's almost a year, I think, kind of, we started a meeting together to discuss strategy and product a bit. Um, and we thought it was very interesting conversation. So from my side, I've been learning a lot about product and strategy. Thanks, Matt. And well, I hope they were useful for you as well.
Yeah. From my perspective, I really learned a lot, or it opened a lot of boxes in my brain of like how other people can see strategy and how the strategy may influence how you attack some of the problems in like a daily life. So yeah, it was super valuable for me. So that's why we are together here today, trying to record some of our notes from those meetings for you guys and see if that's gonna be helpful for other people outside.
Yeah, let's hope someone finds it helpful. I'm pretty sure of that. So today let's recall the first one we did, I remember. So we started talking about strategy on a like higher level. What is it in product? What does it mean? Um,
Yeah, I remember you actually started that one from the question, what strategy? Like, why you have a strategy and how you build a strategy and like, what is it really? Um, and like in my brain, the strategy on high level, it's like simulation of a pathway. So how you want to go to achieve whatever you want to achieve. So if you're the next Mark Zuckerberg, obviously you want to have a social network with like billions of users. So that's your goal. And then the strategy is just how you're gonna proceed and how you're gonna try to do it. And it's always simulation. So it's a strategy. You make a lot of assumptions and you try to simulate what paths you would take to achieve the goal on longer or shorter term. But this is more or less how I see it. It's usually just, hey, I would want to get to that point. So where shall I start? And then if this work, what shall I do the next? So for me, that this is what strategy is in a nutshell. But maybe we can go deeper. Maybe you have some questions to that one.
well,
Tell me.
I can recall the reason behind this question. First of all, because you make it sound so natural and so easy, and not for all the designers it's so like straightforward and easy, like really what strategy is. And the reason why I was curious about this and wanted to start this conversation is because as a designer, you always start when you're more junior, just focusing on the screens and the features and stuff, and really to become more senior, you really want to start understanding the strategy where you're working on so you can make a better impact as well. Um,
Yeah, and I do believe like that's one of the things I actually liked from our initial meetings is this opened my boxes. So from product manager perspective or strategist or anybody working on strategy, this level of understanding is really important also when building strategy. So in our team we do work a lot about transparency, and so everybody has all of the context and tries to understand that to make it that natural. So I know that when you're starting junior and everything like this, it may be crazy, but I would always encourage to try to make it transparent. The same from like management perspective, like more transparent the strategy becomes, I believe it's better for everybody. And maybe another way around, maybe it's a question. So why you believe like strategy is an entity in some people's brains, or it's supposed to be this complicated thing that's like, so why some of the people may be scared as a junior, or not care about it or not try to?
That's true. That's a very good question. It's like a high level, maybe, way of thinking. And sometimes you start thinking on a lower level, more like, should I put a drop down? What should be the flow from this scheme, from this other? And maybe I guess you need to learn how to switch from this lower level thinking a bit to this higher level thinking. Might not be natural or intuitive for everyone, I guess. But it's a very good question, yeah.
Do you think like if putting something like this in a way in this way, so you're thinking about drop down or the next screen, so it's an exercise. So both to you or whomever is listening today, it's like try to zoom out for a sec. So this drop down or the screen is also always a smaller piece of a bigger thing. So it's always connected somewhere. Even if you're building a startup that's one-page application, this drop down will show something for something. So it's like you can treat strategy on, of course, like a company level. So then you will have KPIs and all of this stuff. We'll move that to that later. But even in yourself, like when you're doing something, you're making a strategy. So it's like, okay, so maybe you are doing right now MVP design because someone said we don't have enough time or resources. So in your brain, you're making MVP is like you're taking some sacrifices, like right. So you're not doing the design. It's MVP. I need to cut it or whatever you believe is MVP. But there's some sacrifices. So you could think about it like, okay, so this is my first step in the strategy. I want to do it because we want to verify somehow some idea or whatever was the reason to ship something lighter at the beginning. And then, the next steps for you would be to improve that one because you may have like strong insights or you just know that, you're just dropping a side of a scope because you believe not that important for the first release, but super important for the next ones. And if you
Yeah,
catch yourself in a feature, you can try to zoom out and just think about the next 2-3 steps because strategy works on like, different levels. You can make an annual strategy. But things like OKRs or in our case OITs that are more quarterly plans, they're strategy too. Just scope to 3 months that are part of bigger strategy for a company and whatever. So even in like just to get more used to strategy is not a beast. It's nothing that you need to have MBA to start building. It's more like this. If we are of course thinking lean approaches and things like this, of course if you would be a bank designer, I guess there are different procedures, but we are talking more like a, agile or lean environment now.
that's a really good point. So sometimes when you might think I'm not doing a strategy because I'm working on a low level because it's just a project, you might be doing a strategy as well. Yeah, you're right because it has like different levels. So you might be doing your small strategy on the thing you want to achieve probably. But then if you know more the context, then the more autonomous you are to be successful with this product, with this project or MVP you're doing,
Yeah,
the more impact you can have as well, which is something that we all designers want. Like we want our designs to be impactful in the product and stuff.
and this
So
is why everybody like invented KPIs. So everybody's talking about KPIs, and they state for key progress indicators. So in a definition or like cleanest idea, they were meant to show you the progress. So, and I know KPIs are also sometimes like, for example, when people join our company, they ask like, okay, so what's my KPI? And in our case, it's more like, please set yourself one. So here's the mission. You need to go for a mission and then think about key progress indicators as a thing that is for you to show you if you're on a good track. So let's say you want to get 1 million users. So after investing a year in it and you have 10 of them, you would probably drop it. I mean, I would advise it to drop it. But if you don't track the number of users, you never know if you want to drop it or if you achieved any goal or not. It's just wishful thinking. So key progress indicators relate this. And then, of course, when everybody read the same book. So there is this, school of setting KPIs that there should be like to the nutshell. So we shouldn't have like 25 different KPIs because this becomes like a noise. So it's too much. So they're usually like focused groups of on company level. Let's say you have 10 KPIs that are really key to the company. Things like how many customers are leaving to your company. So you of course need to look if they are leaving and how many of them are leaving. So how many new customers you're bringing, or how much revenue you have, so how much money you're bringing each month. Those are of course core KPIs. And then when you're working like more to the solution level, I guess sometimes connecting those dots can be crazy. No, it's like, okay, so I'm doing a screen, and then someone told me that's gonna reduce churn by 0.5%. What the hell does it mean? I guess this can be crazy at points, no?
Exactly. But then now it's up to you to start asking why and start like trying to find the information of the reason behind. And then it's when you start finding, yeah, like really how you are contributing to these main KPI goals. So, for example, in the planner, it's really good that we have them every quarter, every team, and then the product manager shares them with the team. But we should be careful to not like just, I mean, as maybe designers or builders of the product, being just read them once and then forget about them. So they should be always there, and and they are useful as well when you want to do like something you just came up with. So imagine you really want to push for a redesign or for something that was not like that someone didn't ask you to do it. You just want to do it. If you really know the KPIs and you're able to explain how these will help achieve them, then you will be more able to have your stakeholders buy in. So
Yeah,
to make
I'm
it real.
super glad to hear that. So, in my super word, we call it proxy metrics, and I love them, especially for this because when you're thinking, so let's say you need to make a plan for a quarter, and you're working with a thing like churn. So yes, you do measure churn, so how many customers are leaving you in every moment the customer leaves you, and things like this. And you need to work with it within 3 months. So if you work only on churn, there is a possibility you're gonna be shipping fixes, but you will see improvements like 3 months after you ship them, because you need to measure, you need to gather enough customers to leave you to see if they kept living, or you need to start gathering evidences. And churn is not known to be like the most easily influenced metric on the planet. So then what you work with, you may start working with the proxy metric. So if you engage more customers, or there are much healthier customers while being engaged, there is much bigger chances they will not churn. So even though you're not measuring how you influence churn, you make some of the customers much happier, and then the chances they're gonna churn gonna be lower. Or you build like barriers of living, or whatever technique, because there's plenty of techniques, we can cover that some other day. But you don't measure them directly to that, but you try to do it that way. The other example can be, so that's gonna be super Duck Planner related episode, but promise others if gonna be created, not gonna be Duck Planner. From our team, it's like the main goal of the Doc Planner is bookings. So as a company, we are a booking company, so we want to have numbers of bookings. But our personal team that we with Funcal works is much more connected to engagement of the doctors. So how the doctors uses our platform and what they do there. So every team in our company contributes to the goal of bookings through different ways. So we believe that if we will engage doctors, they will add all of their patients to our platform, and then this way we will produce much more bookings than with not engaged customers, or customers using only parts of our product. Other teams, of course, they work, for example, much closer to the booking process itself, so they contribute and their goals are set. Basically, will deliver X number of additional bookings each quarter. But thanks to those proxy metrics, you can take this big thingy that looks like, oh, I need to involve sales, customer success, and everything else to impact it. And if you proxy to it, you can find something much easier and easier to tackle, much smaller thing to go with.
So let me, because I'm not expert in metrics, as you know, so why do you call them proxy metrics? What's the proxy word mean, really?
Yeah, so they're not so okay. That's not gonna be the most scientific definition ever, but in my brain they're proxy because you're not looking directly at the number of bookings. So we'll not get, so we it would be super hard to compute how one engaged customer, how many bookings he or she will produce at the end of the day,
Got
especially
it, yeah.
taking consideration, clinics, so different sizes of customers, different patterns, and then a lot depends on like how many patients the given customer has. So the idea is we would spend a lot of time trying to make formulas just to prove that our experiments do bring more bookings. So what we are doing here is like a bit of leap of faith, saying, hey, if the engagement gonna grow of a platform, so if we will have every doctor super user of our SaaS, big chances they're gonna deliver more bookings that they're delivering right now, assuming not every one of them is a power user of SaaS right now. So it's like leap of faith and hypothesis. Of course, we are trying
Mm-hmm.
to reverse engineer those numbers later on. So we do see how the engagement grows and how grows the numbers of bookings, and we can correlate them in time. But like short-term plan for a team is not to verify against that big metric, but we can super quickly
Mm-hmm.
verify through this smaller metric that's much more agile, measured like every week, and we can see impact more clearly. So we can make in strategy everything is about the risk. Maybe I should start from that one. So when you make this plan of like that I mentioned at the beginning, you want to get to this Facebook. You make this plan, but it's full of risks. So it's like a lot of discussions about, and if we succeed here, then we will be able to open that market, and then this product line will be possible, and things like this. But there's if maybe, and all of those question marks all over the place. So all of this is about the risk. And then when you're taking this big strategy and trying to make it like a quarter, you're trying to think like what risks can we remove, and then if we can quickly prove that we are making doctors more engaged because we did leap of faith and we believe engagement will convert into the bookings at the end, then the team is just de-risking the strategy quickly. So it's like, okay, so we shipped an experiment or new feature. We see if the engagement drops, grows, or stays stable. Okay, we know this thing will not bring more risk. We can proceed to the next step. Trying, this is lean startup, but trying to do the smallest experiments possible to try to verify hypothesis and the risk. Basically always remove unknown. That's the product manager job, really. So it's just we make crazy plans and then we hope that nothing gonna explode along the way.
Yeah, dealing with risks. Wow. Okay. For me, it's like it feels risky, but well,
Hmm. It's a difference of like how you're gonna call it, but it's like unknowns, or that's
yeah,
I guess that's like one-on-one of product work is like if you don't work waterfall and you're not fooling yourself that you know what to build without talking to the customers and reading the feedbacks and all of this stuff, you're always risking something. So
hmm,
anything you're designing, even if you talked with 2,000 customers, there's still a risk like they will not buy it, they will not use it, they will not
yeah,
like it.
yeah,
So all of the tools we have are for the risking always.
yeah.
Risk is just not the best word in terms of emotions, but
Yeah, but I guess it's really important here to find the balance between de-risking and as well like shipping fast so we can like quickly get some feedback and validate and stuff, right? Because you can be
yeah,
de-risking for months, like, oh, let me try to dig this deeper, let me try to validate more.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of the advices we do give to every product manager joining, like early on, is like take the data as your navigator, so they can guide you. Like the data can guide you, but it's not that we will be obsessed about numbers and we need to spend time about making measurements better. So, for example, I like a lot scoring ideas with ICE scoring. So it's impact, confidence, effort. There is mathematical formula that produces later like a purity score. And there is 1 million ways of computing how impactful is an idea. But then, as you said, you may spend there a month for something that's gonna be built in 2 weeks and can be validated. So it's always important to find the right level of abstraction. So if you're early startup, I wouldn't advise to start measuring churn revenue, how much everything costs, and control everything. Probably you need to get your traction. Your goal is to get users. You don't have money. You probably don't need to track how much money you don't have. So it's choosing the right things to look at the given moment, and not getting too psyched about how to measure them, unless you can. So in our case, huge company nowadays, we have CFO. So yes, all of our financial stuff is super well documented and everything's clear. In the first year, wasn't so pretty because it wasn't that important too. And then you can from the company you can zoom it down to the team, and it's again the same with the team. So if it's relevant, let's try to have something that gives you a guidance over if you're progressing towards your goal or not. But let's make it something that's like touchable by you and not complicated, so you will, because common sense. So it's like, if you spend more time measuring something than building it, was it worth it?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And measuring as well. This is another topic that comes to my mind about measure UX, because this is a topic we think a lot, designers, like how do we measure UX? Because here we're measuring, for example, we're measuring a lot the engagement, right? Like we use it a lot in our team. And how much of the engagement is UX, right? So I guess big part of it. So UX can make a lot in the engagement, but I'm not sure really how you would like be able to just take it out and separate, and if it be worth to separate in anyhow. Um,
Yeah,
just thinking out loud. I don't know what you think.
yeah, yeah. Personally, I would say it's not separatable because experience is everything. So even if the software you're building is amazing, if you had an asshole over the onboarding or non-onboarding
Yeah.
at all, that's still not the best experience on the planet, even if it's like the easiest thing on the planet to use, or if it crashed. So
Yeah.
it's not connected to design, to tech, but so they're hard to like isolate, and I would say it would be super artificial to try to measure only UX. It's much more the whole thingy. And then again, I would advise everybody to check the market. So there's plenty of different measurements that industry invented during the years to measure different stuff in different moments. So there are things like NPS, CSAT, customer effort scores. So there are different things. It's more questions, and they are never answering you only about the UX. But you can try using them in different moments and trying to judge what's the experience of a user around something. So in example, you may have like invoicing feature in your software. So you may create invoices and send them to customers or whatever you're building. So you may ask your customers about like, hey, it's a CSAT. So on a scale of 5, how would you rate the experience with this one? And this kind of a metric, yes, you cannot influence that super easily. Like you will change the design and everybody gonna give you 5. But it's something that gives you like, overall trend in time. So if you start measuring that and keep measuring that for months, you will see the trend. So once you have changes in the UX and things like this, if you're categorizing these kinds of feedbacks, you can see that some of the topics starts disappearing, or you see trends, like you see people talking about missing different things in your software. And this is like, oh, hey, maybe you have these things in your software and somehow they don't see it. And this is like alarming of like, okay, it's not measurement, so you cannot say our UX is 5, or
Mm-hmm.
it will produce you a number, but the number is not important. Important is it gives you like, stable trend table that you can look to and compare to the past and then to the future later on. um,
Mm-hmm.
and I would advise things like this, but I'm again not a great of a designer. But in every redesign product that we try to do, like a project, we're always trying to go that way. So either trying to find some trends inside feedback that
Mm-hmm.
we have from customers and justifying that way, or finding a proxy metric, like a big one. So an example was recently we were changing a lot our information architecture and how it's built, how our settings, and it was like a big investment of time. But the idea there was like we knew that the onboardings are tricky. Like when we are
Mm-hmm.
onboarding customers, there not everything is super clear. There are patterns when our operations had their own hacks to the system how to show things to the users. So
Mm-hmm.
that was like a clear signal to us that, hey, if we work around those problems and the solution that we will build will solve those problems, then yeah, we have like a easy company goal level for a redesigned project, which is like, hey, we will make it much easier, and then easier can be judged by CSAT, number of clicks, whatever. And then we believe that this will finally save time of those people onboarding customers, which can
Mm-hmm.
be spent on explaining product better and not configuring stuff with them because for some reason our information architecture wasn't the best on that one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because yeah, totally. So the experience of the user is totally influenced as well by things like the onboarding. And then that's the image they get from the product from the start, like when like the first impression when you know someone. So then it will be easier. It will be more difficult to try to separate. I agree. Maybe if you would like to have an NPS that it's more UXy, maybe you can play around with how you ask the question maybe. Um, Probably it's different. Like if you ask how likely you are to recommend, that's more generic question than how easy it was to perform the action. Maybe then that's a bit more UXy. But again, how easy can include the performance of the application. Maybe they were looking for something they couldn't find because there's a missing feature, and then for them it's not easy, but was not exactly UX either. So yeah.
yeah, that's why for me it's like a whole thing. So that's why I
Yeah.
love calling everybody product designer, not UX designer, and calling everybody product developer and not PHP developer, because
Hmm.
we build stuff in the internet,
Yeah.
and everything clicks. So we need to collaborate tightly and then try to judge the product, not like parts of it. So beautiful design with shitty business idea won't make a
Hmm.
difference. Amazing
Yeah.
idea without any UI may make a difference if it's a backend server. Thank you, Amazon. But it's much harder to build. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And this takes us back to the beginning. Like, yeah, if you as a builder understand more and more the why you're doing this, the business that's behind the strategy, then you can really make a bigger impact than just if you're focusing on more technical stuff, which is important, but you need to combine both. Yeah.
yeah, and the same for product managers. So I couldn't stress that more. So transparency with the team is super important, and it gives like two amazing advantages. So the first one is like if you're lazy like me, the team can do parts because like the domain knowledge gonna be much bigger. So if the team is building the solution, um, by default they have much more domain knowledge than, hey, we see
Hmm.
trend in customers that this gonna be great to sell, let's build it. Then the team building it will have much more domain name, so knowledge. So the next cycle, sprint, iteration, however you call it, having this information from the team connected to strategy. So if the team understands strategy, they're much, I guess, tell me, but I guess this would be much easier to connect the dots and say like, oh wait, this and this insight is actually important, and we should keep working on that one, and let's talk about it in a team or with management or whomever. versus, oh, this one is like, I'm not interested. For product manager, that situation is amazing. Someone comes with prioritized idea, and tell me if it's reality. I may be, lunatic. So
No, no, no. It's total reality. Like it helps you a lot. The more you work on the product, the more you know the strategy behind, and the better decisions you can make together with the developers and stuff. Because there can be so many solutions to something. So which solution is the better one to pick right now for this project at this moment? So you should not wait. I mean, we've all done that when we were junior, probably waiting for someone to tell us what to do. But yeah, it's better to become more autonomous, better for the product, better for the team, better for the product
yeah,
manager. So
yeah,
then,
much
yeah.
better.
So with more context, we can become more autonomous and really we come up together with the developers and the whole team to better solutions and yeah, solving better the problem for the user, which is in the end what we all want. It's not like, okay, business is not the user. No, so business wants as well to solve the problem of the user, to be a better product and to sell more. So it's
Exactly.
not
Yeah, and
separated.
then
Yeah.
there is the second part to having the strategy transparent and having the understanding in the team. That I would say is a big advantage. Is so something that's always connected to strategy is the change. So it's just a
Hmm.
simulation. So you're just betting a lot of stuff, or you're assuming, or you're trying to verify along the way, and then you will change the strategy somehow. So
Hmm.
you will find that no, that one was bigger, or assumption was wrong, or hey, we were right. We need to scale right now. Like instead of 5, we need 1,000 people. Like whatever. So it will change. Like promise, the strategy will change, and if there is an understanding in the team, it's much easier to explain that change
Hmm.
and handle that change within the team without emotion attachment, because we are
Hmm.
building, let's say you're building stuff for a year, and then you need to pivot. There's gonna be attachment to that, there's gonna be research, there's gonna be doctors in our case that got promised something and things like this.
Hmm.
But if you have this understanding of why you're pivoting, my bet is, you can probably tell me from the experience, is like this change may be a little bit easier.
Hmm.
For sure, it's a bit easier to deliver by product manager that we need to change for some reason the approach we're doing. Tell me how does it help from like a team perspective?
It really helps a lot because you've been like focusing on a project for, I don't know, maybe a few weeks or something. You already have some designs or some approaches from development. And then it's like, no, we're not doing this anymore. So if it stops here, it's really discouraging. Like, oh my God, all this work, now we're not going to use it. But then if it's like a reason behind, and if we all understand where we are going as a business and with the product, then it's easier to understand like, hey, we were betting on this and now we realize there's like a better way to go, and it really helps to okay, and actually it helps to now be excited about a new thing. If the story behind really makes sense to solve our users problem, then instead of being discouraged, you're excited about this new thing that will be better than what you were working on before.
Really good to hear, to be honest. Like, yeah, amazing, amazing. Hope that someone while listening to us will make it a reality in their context too. So tell me, do we have anything more to
We
cover?
covered a lot of topics today. For sure, I will ask you some other days about how really to set these KPIs, like how to decide which ones and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
of course. Let's try to do that maybe on the next episode. And this time we have like around 40 minutes. That's gonna be interesting.
it's a good one already, like a good timing, I guess. I hope
Yeah,
people
me
find
too.
it
Let's
interesting.
let's see if someone will find it interesting. So let's wrap it up somehow. So thank you for listening. Hope you found it useful. If so, please listen to the next episode. That's gonna be produced sometime soon. Thank you, Michal, for
And
talking.
yeah, No, thank you for being here. I think it's really good. So our talks are amazing for me all the time, and this has been fun to record as well. So yeah, we'll publish this, and please leave your comments on whatever platform you'll find this, if you liked it, so we can keep recording and we know you're interested. So
Thank you very much.
have a nice day, everyone, then.
Have a nice one.